Hello? Hello? Alright, we are here. We're not going to get any feedback. So let's just get on with this. Hopefully somebody comes in here. We are on Discord tonight. Unfortunately, Stephen Hawking has passed on. Stephen Hawking has passed on at age 76. That's kind of why I reopened this. I ran this last night in an after show about G-Man for Steve McRae, who had basically said, we need to address G-Man's points, but not G-Man anymore. G-Man is kind of persona non grata. But at this point, we are talking about Stephen Hawking, and I would appreciate it if somebody could go on Discord, come into the live stream chat, and chat with me and whoever else comes into the Discord. So the more the merrier. Please come to the stream live voice chat. Yeah, he passed on. Hello, everybody. Waiting for somebody because it's just kind of boring me talking here. You guys can hear me okay?
Good evening.
Hello, Landon.
How are things?
Good. Can you guys hear Landon? That's the second question of the day.
I am here. If you can hear me, then you can hear me.
Well, I can hear you. The question is, can the people in this out on YouTube land hear you? Okay, so Johnny Drive-By says he can hear both of us. Good. So that means that my OBS is set up right.
Congratulations.
Well, it could be a little bit tricky with audio and everything. Hello, Max. Hello, Ocean.
He's lost at sea.
I see what you did there. No, yeah. So Stephen Hawking has passed on.
Yeah.
55 years though with ALS. That's tough because the expected, people are expected to live like 4 when they are diagnosed with that. So, I mean,
Lucky guy.
Lucky and tenacious. That is really tenacious. Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Lightning.
Yes.
Dr. Hawking is dead.
Yes.
Who's
Yeah, Stephen Hawking.
That Stephen Hawking, the physicist. Oh,
yes.
That's black holes and baby universes. Ooh, that's sad. How did it happen?
I think I'm pretty sure it's old age or the ALS got to him finally.
Yeah, probably.
Either way, let's just say he's left us some great stuff. There's a black hole phenomenon named after him. It's pretty great.
I refreshed the story the BBC put out. Let's see here. Stephen Hawking has died at age 76. His family said he was known for his work with black holes and relativity. He wrote several popular science books, including A Brief History of Time. Quote, "We are deeply saddened that our beloved father passed away today," a family statement said. At the age of 22, Stephen Hawking was given only a few years to live after being diagnosed with a rare form of motor neuron disease. The illness left him wheelchair-bound and largely unable to speak except through a voice synthesizer. His family said that he died peacefully in his home near Cambridge University, where he did much of his groundbreaking work on black holes. In the statement, his children, Lucy, Robert, and Tim, said, "He was a great scientist and an extraordinary man whose work and legacy will live on for many years." Obituary for Stephen Hawking. They praised his courage and persistence and said his brilliance and humor inspired people across the world. Quote, he once said, "It would not be much of a universe if it wasn't home to the people you love. We will miss him forever." Professor Hawking was the first to set out a theory of cosmology as a union of relativity and quantum mechanics. And it goes on to give this little fact file. I will post the link in both the Discord and the YouTube chats.
So yeah, he certainly had a very successful career, and I was fortunate enough to interact with him a couple of times. We were on things related to astronomy.
Yeah.
And we also had a very interesting. We had a discussion about correspondence about the famous Thorne-Hawking Pinskill encyclopedia bet, where I was siding with Thorne and stating that we were unconvinced about Hawking's so-called proof. This is the bet about whether or not a black hole would be able to leak information or not. It's different than the Hawking radiation. It's is information conserved.
Right, and this is the concept. The thing he's calling information is not to be confused with what we think of colloquially as information.
It's entropic on there, and it's we're some of us are surprised that Hawking actually conceded a bet because I don't think that the information the issue was decided, and in fact, the bet. People know about Hawking's part of the bet, but there actually were 3 physicists that had the bet, and Kip Thorne, I think, quite rightly didn't agree and declined to participate in the purchase of the encyclopedia. He remains unconvinced. Actually, none of them remain unconvinced. But the great thing was that it was the discussion about it was actually quite informative. So, regardless of how you stand on the bet, the thing, and this is probably what was the great thing about Hawking, was the discussions that he contributed to and prompted. I mean, that's one of his greatness is his ability to answer. It was Hawking's ability to ask the right question to the right person at the right time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a person out there. If you don't know who he is, I don't know where you've been. Like, I remember when the first time I actually saw him was, I think I was in high school.
Yeah.
It was like, I think it was an episode of Star Trek TNG he was in.
Probably.
Yeah, that's how long he's been doing this, and he was famous then. For his physics. He's been doing it ever since then. He's been adding to the knowledge of physics since then. It's not like he stopped. He just kept going. So, A Brief History of Time is a recommended book. So, thank you, Ocean. Can I give the streams unique names? Yes, I can. I will edit the video here. Give me a second, Steve. Yeah, we'll change it to that.
So I think again, this is he. That's the thing, I guess, that Hawking contributed to was the, um, as a communicator, right? And that was something that he did very well with his number of people benefited from Hawking's books.
Yeah, I mean, it's continue like somebody else talk. I got some administrative to do real quick. There's other people here. Max, talk to Landon.
Oh, sorry. I got on Twitter because I thought you guys were like having a conversation.
We are, but you're here too. The more the merrier.
Yeah. Actually, I'm worth 2 people. I'm like scouting TF2. I like capture the objective 2 times as fast. Anyway, what were we saying? I'm sorry.
We were talking. Could you repeat what you were saying, Landon?
Oh, we were talking about one of the things about the Thorne-Hawking Penscope bet, and it was the conversation I had in correspondence with Hawking was over why he conceded the bet, because there's a number of people that are not convinced that the issue about is information conserved crossing a black hole boundary, that it's not it's not resolved. Hawking felt it probably was, but again, as he admitted to me, his proof was not really ironclad. On the other hand, as he pointed out, the awarding of a encyclopedia or not is at a much lower standard, lower threshold than publishing an article in a peer-reviewed journal. The reason that he conceded the bet would not have passed peer review muster. Nevertheless, he was convinced that at some point in time the issue would be able to be decided. In general, the other bit, this is different than the notion of Hawking radiation, which is something that people are looking for. Probably that will be decided when, is it possible, for example, that accelerators might be able to make micro black holes and be able to detect Hawking radiation from the rapid decay of those micro black holes. It was something that people are searching for, and it was the interesting joke about that is it was thought that black holes were essentially these cosmic vacuum cleaners that nothing could escape, and it turns out from quantum mechanical theory that in fact particles do escape. And that the smaller the black hole, the more curvature it has, the faster those black holes evaporate. And it was something that was quite surprising, but Hawking gave a very, very convincing theoretical argument about the existence of Hawking radiation. Had he lived long enough for Hawking radiation to be discovered, it would likely have given him a Nobel Prize, but we have been unable to generate a black hole in the lab or detect Hawking radiation out in space, which is probably a harder thing to do. Nevertheless, I certainly enjoyed my interactions with Hawking, and I think also I appreciated Hawking's advocacy of science, and he really was really good at communicating science.
Yeah.
The encyclopedia bet probably not is more well known than the earlier Thorne-Hawking bet back in the mid 70s. There was a bet about the existence of black holes, and Kip was saying that Hawking spent a lot of his time in his early career working on parameters of black holes and properties, and there was a question at that time whether or not black holes were merely theoretical constructs or actually physically existed. That one of the things that was on the table for that bet was if black holes turn out to not exist, then Kip would get 1 year of Penthouse. That's a little less glamorous than the encyclopedia, but still is an. That's of course the return thing was a 4 years of the magazine called Private Eye, and
how long ago was this?
This was back in '74.
Oh, we weren't certain on black holes back then.
Well, actually, at that time, interesting enough, when the time they made the actual bet, people were probably reasonably certain that Cygnus X1 contained a black hole. But it hadn't had the solid proof we have now.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's objects out there that we know that exist because black holes exist. Like
but the density, the mass density has now been nailed. But at that time, it was there. Hawking loved to make various bets. He seemed to be unable to pass up an opportunity of a bar bet or any kind of thing like that. That was sort of one of his things. And of course, he, in some ways, didn't care as much about whether he won or lost as whether or not the bet was actually over an interesting question. And he was actually quite intrigued by questions. He told me that he was actually influenced by a mathematician named Erdős, who used to give out sort of prizes, but he felt that was kind of a one-way contribution. Instead, he would pose a question, find someone who could intelligently argue the opposite, and then put down some bet, some object, something of not necessarily magnanimous value. It wasn't like money or something, but it was more the principle of the discussion.
I see. I mean, I imagine it was a fun thing to delve into. I bet you black holes are real.
Yeah, I mean, we had Hawking and I had discussions around whether or not singularities existed, and how you would go about the questions about how you go about proving or denying the existence of a singularity. That is whether or not beyond the black hole event horizon, matter, for example, was crushed to an infinite, density or depth, or whether there was something else that would stop it from, going off to infinity. And
but isn't like singularity something a black hole needs to exist?
No. All the black hole needs to exist is a gravitational field that is whose escape velocity would require a local velocity greater than the speed of light.
Well, yeah, I know that,
but there's nothing that and all you really need to have is a certain density of matter.
Right.
There's nothing actually magical about a black hole. It's just merely high, a sufficiently dense gravitational field. In fact, if for somehow you crush the sun down to a black hole, the Earth would still orbit the sun the way it does now. You just wouldn't have.
It would still have the same gravitational pull.
Yeah, and so it's more of the question of what happens to the material under collapse. Does it Does it
I
go?
see. I just realized I asked myself that question while you were talking. I'm like, wait, then what happens to the stuff? Is it still there?
Yeah, and so that's the question about, mathematically, a point object with infinite density is mathematically interesting, but whether or not it is physical reality is a different story.
Like, then how would we ever be able to tell that a black hole contains a singularity?
Well, we were talking about the business about, there are properties that of a black hole you can tell outside, such as charge and spin and mass. And so there was we were speculating over if the black hole is a dense object of a non-zero physical size, then you might be able to detect it from spin, for example. You might be able to detect it from the distribution of mass as a non-zero point object. And that was something that's actually what we discussed there. But that time with that discussion, as I remember, no one was really convinced enough to stake a claim, let alone make a bet of it. That's probably, although that would have been a fun bet. I probably would have taken up the singularities don't exist part of a bet, but on the other hand, to several people's credit, including Hawking, they were unwilling to take the mathematical points absolutely do exist position. So the bet was never.
Okay, so black holes. So there are black holes that don't contain singularities. I didn't know that. But yeah, it makes sense. Because all that's needed is their escape velocity to exceed the speed of light at the event horizon. But that doesn't require infinite mass.
That's right. Or
Density.
infinite density, I should say. It's not required.
Not infinite mass, infinite density.
Yeah, you just need enough mass in a little area.
I wish you could see the math for this and understand it. I gotta catch up. God damn it.
But as I say, it was that again was Hawking loved to sort of ask these questions, and that was one of his things he did.
Okay, but some black holes still might have singularities.
I am not convinced that the mathematical singularity has any physical reality. I think that I suspect that there are physical processes that prevent the matter from being crushed into infinite densities. Infinities are kind of hard to deal. I think reality doesn't really like infinities.
Yeah, I guess not. I was watching PBS Spacetime, and they were talking about singularities, and they said the only natural singularity that might exist is in a black hole. I realize the words they use now. Might.
Yes. Now, not that science is democracy, but I suspect that in a room full of physicists, my view of being a singularity skeptic, let's say that, right? I can't prove they don't exist. I'm just skeptical of the arguments that they do. That most people would find a singularity skeptic to be odd. But I think that's because they haven't really spent. I think some people haven't really spent a good deal of time thinking about the implications of such a singularity. Particularly, one of the arguments that I think he gave him pause was whether or not a black hole decay from a singularity point was possible. Because the argument made is that these singularities could be essentially infinite traps. of material, making Hawking radiation difficult. But again,
I was just thinking, how would a black hole radiate into till it dies, essentially, if it was infinitely dense? I don't know.
I mean, at a point, the black hole death is problematic, but understand that a lot of physics around black holes are problematic. So that doesn't argue.
Yeah, they exist, but they're still problematic.
So the singularity question is it'll be difficult to determine that by observation of black holes out in space. It's probably more likely to be determined if accelerators could generate dense energy balls that form micro black holes that then evaporate rapidly. That's probably those are probably things where we could study them.
Yeah, I think having a black hole here on Earth would be interesting.
It would be destructive.
Yeah.
No, it would be the micro black holes like a
micro black hole
accelerator could create are going to decay, faster than a photon could.
We can blink.
Be sucked into it. So
right.
And they wouldn't cause too much damage, I think.
No.
But if you got one like the size of a nickel, the entire Earth is screwed.
Yeah. These are subatomic type stuff. But I'd say that the certainly the work on singularities or lack of singularities, because the other problem is then what keeps the material from being crushed down to a point? What stops it? What physical processes prevent matter from being crushed to infinite density?
Okay, so wait.
So there's something where you might be able to discover, there's something with quarks or something that would prevent density from rising above a certain point. The other possibility is that you could look at properties of the universe shortly after the Big Bang and look at properties of that universe, that very high density universe, and get another idea. So there was various speculations done, but unfortunately these are things that are probably not solvable in the near term horizon. And because of that, we didn't really establish a bet. He preferred to have bets over things that were likely to be decidable, as opposed to, angels in the head of a pin type of arguments.
Yeah. Well, at least I can say a lot of the stuff you said didn't go entirely over my head.
It's complicated. It really is. On my post in the Great Debate community, I think Rachel Dupree, I don't know if you're familiar with Rachel, but she has been following Stephen Hawking for quite some time. She's very familiar with his theories, and I'm not really familiar with Rachel's qualifications, but I think she has a pretty decent understanding, so I'm going to read what she just posted. But she posted the following, and since it's public, I think it's safe to say I'll go ahead and read it. Thank you for posting this, and it explains his recent silence in correspondence. A very great loss indeed, leaving a black hole in the fields of theoretical and creation science. A man who brought a sensible explanation to the complexities of creation science, and in the process turned our whole conception of time around. A force for good, but also a man of compassion and great charity. He was a kind and generous man, inspirational to me as a lecturer and tutor, courageous as he fought off throat cancer, and grateful to people like David, a mutual friend, and his throat surgeon, for the care they offered him. His work is still incomplete, and I hope we can show him our respects by continuing what he began, perhaps by opening more eyes to the possibilities of the start of the universe as he described. That his task is incomplete was shown recently by a survey of third-year science students undertaken by World Bank as part of their World Survey on Education, where 99% of science students thought the Big Bang was an explosive event. If this post rambles and makes little sense, it is because this has been a night of tears. Good luck, Stephen, and I hope you find the singularity, and that a compassionate God, if such you now discover exists, takes you on an eternal trip around the cosmos that you so brilliantly described. If there is no God, still I and many others will keep you alive through our memories of you and all you offered us. In great sorrow, Rachel.
Damn.
Yeah.
No.
That was feely.
It is. I'm pretty sure she was, she was at least corresponding with him. I don't know if she ever met him. She probably has, but she's definitely been talking to him at great lengths about stuff. And I'm pretty sure she's a physicist herself. So like I said, I'm not familiar with her qualifications.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna suppose to ask her on here because I think, like she says, she's been in tears. So I think I'll just leave her to her bereavement.
Yeah.
It was also other things I say that were sort of out there was Hawking made a kind of a provocative statement that philosophy is dead, and what he was really saying, he was saying it from as a sort of a parallel to the statement God is dead. That is, he felt that philosophy hadn't really kept up with science and had sort of died in that sense. Now, many philosophers would disagree, and
Of course they would.
His comments. I mean, philosophy is dead. I think probably maybe a more accurate paraphrasing might have been, philosophy is in trouble, and he felt it was not keeping up with modern developments in science, and was therefore in trouble.
Well, if that is the case, then I can probably guess why, because they keep going back and forth between things while bickering. Lol.
Isn't that what philosophers do?
Exactly.
That's what we did in our philosophy class. So that's it.
In philosophy, you're supposed to do that.
I don't agree, but I think Hawking was trying to say, this was back in it was a Google conference in 2011. And I think part of what he was trying to say was, philosophy needs to, get unstuck and to get back into the to keep up with modern developments in science. On the other hand, he was really big in trying to encourage scientists to think about philosophical ramifications of what they do. You're saying?
Yeah, I was saying philosophy kind of. I think I could find an example where philosophy kind of needs to catch up, with the whole self-driving car trolley problem thing. I wrote an essay about it for my English class. Yeah, self-driving cars are already being made, and they're still arguing about it. So, guys, we need to hurry up.
One of the things that we did disagree was all this is about. Example, whether or not the human race could, how long the human race could survive. There was in in things on various forms of Drake's equation, estimating the number of so-called intelligent civilizations in our galaxy, one of the parameters is how long does an intelligent civilization last? And that was so there was a philosophical question. The arguments I remember he was making back at the Google conference was, maybe humanity has another 100 years before it does itself in. And that was part of his. He wasn't a fatalist, but he was saying, the way things are going with, unless people understand the implications of things, humanity could be in trouble.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I would be inclined to agree, but I don't know enough.
Now, one thing we disagreed on was the issue about aliens. He had kind of this notion that, aliens out in space, if they exist, might be potentially hostile to us. And he was somebody who opposed sending messages out to try to contact aliens.
I mean, maybe. Maybe it stemmed from something like, what would we do to them if they came here?
I mean, one of his comments I remember made to folks was, if aliens visited us on Earth, he likened the outcome to Christopher Columbus landing in America, in what it turned out for the natives. On the other hand, we were also. So I kind of. I thought his, aliens are hostile. Don't shout out around the universe. Might have been better. On the other hand, we also really agreed. He was actually very helpful in promoting the notion of building self-sustaining spacecraft, right? That biological biospheres that could allow a spacecraft to run indefinitely. The so-called Terrarium project, rather than having a spacecraft that has to have fuel and food and supplies from Earth to keep going a colony, to be able to build a self-sustaining colony, that own little ecosphere, was something he also was really helpful in promoting.
Yeah, if we could build a self-sustaining spacecraft, I think that would be pretty nice. I think we should hurry up with that.
That was one of the things that was discussing was there's a proposal for building the terrarium, a spacecraft that orbits the sun the same distance as Earth, that contains a collection of microorganisms, and bacteria and producers, carbon dioxide producers, to build kind of a self-sustaining little box that could operate, it could evolve and carry on indefinitely. And that Hawking was well, so maybe we'll name that Terrarium project after him.
Yeah, hold on. I'll be right back. Take over.
So,
sorry, I'm still here. I'm just kind of trying to get the word out on some of the groups I'm in on.
Hawking was also very suspicious of where AI was going.
Well, I would tend to agree with him on that one. I work in computers, and it is kind of it's one of those things where you could it can go both ways. Like, some of the suspicion is fear of our own nature, because we're the only example of intelligence that we have. So it's really hard to gauge what other intelligence would behave like, what its instincts would be, because a lot of our behavior goes back to our reptilian brain, our fight or flight. It literally, that's where a lot of our reactions come from. So it's so tough to sit there and say, this is how a external something alien, literally alien to our planet, to our environment, would act. And the same thing goes with AI, because we're talking about a silicon-based intelligence that we create. Obviously, there's going to be some similarities because we're the ones creating it, and some of ourselves is going to carry into AI, but we're also going to start putting protections in it to prevent our own inadequacies from being part of that. So I think if we're careful enough, it won't be an issue, but we just have to be aware. Are you still there, Landon?
Yep. One of the things I remember, I was looking through, the thing about his comments about, comments about God. I was trying to see if I could find what he sent me, but he had a reference to a quote he made in 2014 with I forget which magazine, where he declared himself an atheist, and it was there was a bunch of people that he had stated earlier we would know the mind of God, and we were using that phrase to say that Hawking was a theist. But in this thing, he said, before we understood science, it was natural to believe that God created the universe. But now science offers a more convincing explanation of the universe's creation. What I meant by we would know the mind of God is that we would know everything that God knew if there was a God, which there isn't. I'm an atheist.
Right.
Easy.
It's kind of tough because, a lot of theoretical theorists, especially when it comes to the people who sit there and talk about how the universe began, because there's a lot of controversy of that.
Sure.
Because we don't know. We don't have a complete picture of that. It only goes back so far. Then we can't. It gets really muddy about what happened before that. And even mathematically, we can't know. Like, we haven't figured it out yet. So, you hear Michio Kaku, you heard Albert Einstein talk about it, you heard Stephen Hawking, and sometimes, you hear people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's an astrophysicist, talk about it. He's not really a theoretical physicist, but he's obviously got some say, about some idea of what these people are talking about when they go into this math, because you have to be an astrophysicist as well. And they say things with reference to God in a lot of their statements, but then they go on to say that they are atheists, and some of them don't say what they are at all. So there's this big, of course, that goes back to the great debate, literally, and it's kind of, it doesn't really solve the debate, but we know Stephen Hawking thought he was, he said he was an atheist, even though, a lot of his quotes did have reference to God in them.
Metaphorically, I guess.
Well, and there's a lot of different definitions of God, so there's that too. Like, there's just, what is God? That's the question.
God is the universe.
Yeah, God could be the universe. God is. Do you mean the Christian God? Do you mean what? So.
No, I mean like the universe that we live in is God.
Yeah. So. I wish somebody else would come in here. I know it's late, guys. It's late on our end of the world, but there should be some people coming up.
Early for someone else.
Yeah, there's other places where it's early, and I know that there's people in the Great Debate community all over the world.
Yeah, and I'm here on the East Coast where it's 1:23 a.m. But I'm at work, so I'm going to be up all night. Okay, so I posted a joke in the stream chat. I heard it online, so I'm not taking credit. It was from a video called Physicists Try Not to Laugh Challenge. All right, here it is. Einstein walked into a bar at 99% the speed of light, and the bartender asks, "Hey, why the short face?"
Well done. Well, I like that.
That's cute.
So, Lightning also posts in the stream chat, "Get ready for Christians to lie and say he had a deathbed conversion."
Oh yeah, there's gonna. I'm a moderator over in Soundly's live stream. He does a 24/7 live stream, and there was a guy, and I timed him out literally because he's sitting there talking about what did Steven ever do for us? Because he's a flat earther, and well,
what's flat Earth ever done for us?
Well, I timed him out, and I said basically, you will not defame Stiggy. You will not defame Stephen Hawking tonight. And I said, if you bring him up again in an uncharitable way, and you might as well pack it in for the night. I'm sure Soundly will let you in when he gets around to it. I'm not putting up with people with their bolt tonight. I'm just not.
Yeah, no. Like, G-Man that we've had in the recent week, that was enough. Enough about him. He's gone. Good. Now, no, we don't need that either.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Soundly has his rules about when we can actually hide people, but I'm sure he'll make an exception tonight for this kind of BS. Technically, it's defamation anyway when you sit there calling somebody a fraud, liar, etc. without explicit examples backing that up. And I know Hawking did stuff for us. He wasn't alive.
Just say it.
That's just saying crap.
Yeah. It's just bullshit. Like, you believe the earth is flat. What the fuck does your word even mean? Fuck off.
Right. That's gonna be like a hide-worthy thing. I'll even take a picture and be like, hey, people defaming guess who tonight? There'll be people hidden for a while. I shouldn't, but this.
Everyone's on about it. The Planetary Society says, "Goodbye, Dr. Hawking. Thank you for sharing your beautiful mind with this pale blue dot."
Do you have the link?
To that?
To what you're reading. Can you post that in the stream chat?
It's on Instagram. I'll just screenshot it and post it.
Okay.
But as you can see, the picture, when it sends, the picture has people, recognizable faces. Of course, Stephen Hawking, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Bill Nye, and then others.
I'll find it. I'll look it up on Instagram and grab it and get the actual link. Because any resources we have, we should We should definitely post those links out.
Yeah. Also, you can see who I follow on the top. Some Russian page. Astrophotography, a Neil deGrasse Tyson fan page, and a baryonics page.
Yeah.
Well,
Embed. There we go. No, I don't want the embed code. I'm not used to Instagram. I'm not a big Instagrammer. I'll just share the Planetary Society's page because it's the first post, so that should do.
They just posted, so yeah.
Yeah, they just posted this. It's the first one up there. Hit it up if you're interested in grabbing this historic picture.
So I was thinking somebody's talking about they're working on their master thesis on general public's acceptance or rejection of the Big Bang. That's an interesting thesis. Not that I really care, and not that I really care about whether the general public accepts it or not. But it is an intriguing thing to see. I mean, I'll continue working on science whether the general public likes it or not. On the other hand, interesting social question about whether or not what the general public thinks about the Big Bang. And again, as a theoretical physicist, Hawking, published a lot about the conditions of the early universe, just after the Big Bang.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking on the Planetary Society website.
Are you on your mobile device, Max?
I am.
Okay. So that's why you're having trouble with links.
Oh, yeah.
Victor Daniel Catalan. That's actually kind of funny. He says, but the real question is, how are Sheldon Cooper and black holes alike? They both suck.
No, it's more like everything just gravitates towards them.
I don't know about all that, but that's kind of the same. It's kind of the same thing, depending on whether you like Sheldon Cooper or not. But yeah,
all matter sucks. So
yeah, technically, just it's a matter of how much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And technically, it all sucks the same as how much you get together at once.
You guys didn't like my joke.
Oh, we did. It's just kind of a somber night.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I like you. You talked about the Einstein short face. Yeah, I liked it.
I liked it too.
I laughed.
It wasn't my joke though.
I laughed.
Yeah, it was funny though. That's why I remember it. It was good. What do physicists pirates do when they get in trouble? They walk the plank. Get it?
How long does it take him to walk the plank? Plank time. Ooh.
Get it?
It's starting to get knee slappy here.
Yeah, like how big is the Planck length?
I think Sean G said not funny at all. Laugh, LOL.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. There was another one, the last joke in the video, I think it was. I knew I was destined to become a physicist when my dad told me when I grow up I'm going to be a Feynman.
Oh, that's bad.
Ooh, okay.
Well, if you don't want us three sitting here telling lame jokes, somebody else needs to come in here. Lightning, you're here, but you're all muted. I don't know why you're muted.
You're muted up in there.
Well, I tried to give some of my. I was trying to remember what my other interactions with Hawking. Met him at a planetary society meeting, I think.
What is the interaction that keeps friends together? What particle interacts with that keeps friends together?
Broson.
Charm?
The Broson. Charmed would be good too.
This is all here. I'm just gonna go find the video that I'm getting these and like link it in the stream chat so you guys can watch it.
Strange and charmed, they go together. Google Photos.
So it says, actually, I have a question. So speed of light is darkness as fast.
Wait, what?
Speed of light is darkness as fast. Darkness would be the absence of light. So I would imagine, yeah. Once there's no light there, since it traveled as fast as it travels, it would be darkness.
Of course, it depends upon what you mean by darkness.
Right.
In quantum vacuums, there's always these annoying little virtual particles that pop in and out. So it never really gets dark.
Yeah, well, fuck those guys for ruining philosophical nothingness. Well,
Yes. Yes, and in the wrong order of magnitude to explain, you know.
Why do we need to have philosophical nothingness, though? I mean,
I don't know.
What's the point?
We don't really need it. There's no real point. It's just like something that creationists can use to still pretend to misunderstand a universe from nothing.
Well, but since it didn't exist at all, you know, like nothing doesn't exist. That's kind of a truism. At this point, it's a literal truism. Nothing does not exist.
Well, yeah, but yeah, I get it.
Because if it's something, if it has attributes, it's no longer nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're talking about something at that point.
Well, yeah. I'm pretty sure the point is that the nothingness that they describe, well, philosophical nothingness, may not actually be a thing. So,
Yes, Shanji, we understand it was an honest question. We are not.
So I was thinking about this dark thing. And if you say, okay, if you say, well, let's ignore, quantum vacuum, virtual particles, and let's ignore, bathe and stuff like that, background, and say, shadow. How fast does a shadow grow? And I think the answer to that is the speed of light and the medium that it's traveling. The shadow would be something blocking light, and so the wavefront that wasn't blocked continues to move on at the speed of light.
Max,
what?
your microphone is making all kinds of noise, dude. Yeah. But if you're talking, you can unmute. you know, because now it's just me and Landon. But that's fine.
So wait, so I guess the speed of dark is whatever the speed of light allows.
That kind of fits.
Otherwise, I wouldn't think that darkness has a speed at all.
Right.
Well, the
not really
property of
thing.
the region that you would call a shadow would extend at the speed of light because
because there's still light in front of it.
yeah.
I see.
There?
I can picture that. And
That's an honest attempt at an answer.
yeah, like if you could cast a shadow on the moon, the shadow wouldn't instantly appear there. It'd take 1.8 seconds.
A shadow won't be dark.
Oh.
It depends on the definition of darkness you use, Shanti. Like if you define dark, if I go define dark with little or no light, well, that's not complete darkness because light is not the absence of darkness.
Yeah.
Light is the absence of darkness by definition. So.
But light is a thing.
Right.
Darkness is just no light.
Right.
So one can say that's really that if you think of a shadow as being, something blocking
But
the light.
Right, but that's the adjective form. Like if something is dark, you have a dark cloth. That's like the color.
Sure.
But the noun is the absence of light in a place, or a dark color or shade, like, or a period of time characterized by, that you can have a dark time, gloomy. There's that, which does not seem to apply here. Denoting a velarized form of sound of the letter, as in pull. So the letter L, it's actually a phonetic. So that's actually a dark L. That's what they call that. I didn't know that. I didn't know consonants really had. I knew vowels, you could have short and long vowels, but I didn't know consonants had names. So yeah, there's quite a few definitions, but I think the one that most applies is the noun form of absence of light in a place. So absence of light would come with at the speed of which the light disappeared, which would be the speed of light. Vivian Z. Hello. Welcome to the Great Debate Community channel. We are in Discord. The link to join the Discord channel, because there's only 2 or 3 of us. There's actually 3 of us in here speaking right now. The more the merrier. Please come in.
Yeah, come in and mix up the...
Yeah, I'm just muted because I'm doing a bunch of other stuff, and I don't want to sit here and, make a bunch of noise back here and annoy people while you guys are actually having a discussion.
Well, but if you have something to contribute, Lightning, we would appreciate it.
I don't really have so much to contribute because, it's obviously a sad night, and I do have sentimentality about Stephen Hawking, but I don't know so much about physics.
Well, you're not really talking to somebody who knows a lot about beginning of time physics and black hole physics. I mean, I have some quantum physics because I deal with quantum tunneling in my work, but that's as it applies to electronics and semiconductors, which is a known. That's known. You know what I'm saying? There's not a whole lot of exploration to be left to be done on that front until you get into quantum computing, which I'd have to go back and get my letters to get into that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I might too. I've been thinking about it.
That'd actually be kind of cool.
Well, yeah, it would be to get involved in that and do some research.
I can pull storage space out of like nowhere and like get infinite storage space. So yeah,
If to be a pioneer in that field and do a multi-100-page doctorate on that would be great, and get that accepted like other doctors and get letters. Yeah, that's.
No.
But that's
cool.
another 4 years of school that I'd have to go through.
Yeah.
And,
a lot of money.
well, I'm not so much worried about the money. It's the time.
Yep, a lot of time too.
Yeah.
Well, as I say, it's sad that Hawking has died. I certainly enjoyed the few interactions I had with him, and I certainly enjoyed his ability to spark debate and to pose questions.
So, what do you think about his idea that human beings ought not be telling the aliens we exist?
I disagreed with him on that. That's probably one of the more direct arguments where I felt he was wrong.
Yeah.
He was kind of paranoid about the whole thing, almost, it seemed. Yeah. Although he wouldn't characterize that. He was sort of taking the worst of humanity and saying, what if the aliens are worse than us?
Right, and it's possible, but to me, now I don't know that there's any benefit from telling the aliens we exist, but assuming they're aliens, but to me it's kind of like they're freaking aliens. We don't know what they're gonna be like. I mean, they could.
Yes, we do. They're gonna be like aliens.
I mean, they could consider us utterly beneath their notice, or they could consider us food or things in the way of their colonizing the planet, or they could just be like, oh, those people are interesting, but we don't live on an environment like that. We breathe straight ammonia, so let's colonize another place or something. Or maybe they come from maybe it's like they are the AIs that have actually taken over, and the biological race, any biological race on their planet is dead, and it's just a bunch of AIs. That would be pretty wild.
Turn me into an AI. We'll be like the Forerunners from Halo.
In my argument on the whole, we shouldn't be sending messages out, is that we've already been sending messages out. I mean, the development of radio generated messages, and those have been going out. Now, whether or not those messages are actually readable and understandable at those distances is a whole other question. So
you can probably pick up the radio waves anyway.
The other bit is that presumably, if general relativity is correct, then warp drive is pure science fiction, and the ability for us to physically interact with, if there was an intelligent species way out there, is very limited.
Well, yeah, they said something like if we could actually, like, say we could get close, like near light speed. Like there was an article I saw, and we're talking about small objects, right? Like maybe little tiny probes, micro probes. If we could accelerate them at relativistic speeds towards the nearest star, it would still take like 20 years from our perspective for it to get there, because you've got to accelerate it, and that takes a tremendous amount of time to get it up to that relativistic speed. And then you still have to slow it down, because if it hits the system at that speed,
It's just going to go right through.
it's just going to disintegrate once it hits it, or go right through it. One of the two. Probably a combination of both, because of its size. So,
It will become a few objects.
right, it will become many objects. It will become vapor. So it's not like something you have to. It would require a tremendous amount of computation and planning, and 20 years for a small object. Never mind people. You know, and then if you tried to send people, there's time dilation involved with a probe, but a probe doesn't care about the time. If you send people, you have to deal with the time dilation. There's a whole bunch of stuff you'd have to deal with. So I don't know.
I don't care about the time dilation. You can send me.
Right, but you would still be, you know, the time that passed would be different here than there. Like I
Yeah,
said,
Exactly.
you live as
I
long
don't
as
care.
you live. You're not going to get an extension on your life.
Yeah, no, I won't. But I just going to go somewhere else. I should get as far away from the solar system as possible. But Trump is president here. Anyway, I sent a picture in the in the stream chat. It's of the North. How many black holes do you think are in that picture?
oh, the billions, dude, because you're talking galaxies, like countless. Like every galaxy that we've actually found at this point has a supermassive black hole in it.
Yeah, and plus there's a galaxy somewhere near the tail end of the Big Dipper down there.
And there's probably galaxies we don't know about in the blank spots of those. Like if we look far enough into the dark spots in that picture. Like say we train the Hubble on that spot, because the Hubble is actually looking at what we perceive to be a dark spot with our vision, and it's finding all kinds of fantastic stuff in that dark spot.
Well, yeah, that's what the deep field pictures are.
Right.
We should do more Hubble deep fields of random spots. It'd be cool.
Right. We could. You never know what you're going to find. You're probably going to find all kinds of stuff. So I mean, the number is just
amazing. Like if we did a deep field and then just found this entirely new class of object.
Who knows? But
who knows?
I couldn't even hazard a guess, but I would say billions and billions. And I hate to use that cliche, but
billions and billions and billions.
It's a Carl Saganism. Billions and billions of
billions. Yeah.
Given, I was thinking, given the angle of this, and estimated number of galaxies and estimated number of black holes in the galaxy. Although there certainly are multiple. I mean, galaxies seem to have a fair number of not just black holes, but there's lots of
right.
You're cutting
black holes.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little, Landon.
Oh, sorry.
So what were you saying?
That most galaxies have lots of black holes, particularly the small sort of stellar mass black holes seem to be pretty common.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just the supermassive black hole that's holding the thing together. It's all the little ones that are in it too.
I wish I had taken this picture with the frame up a little higher. Then I could say that Bode's Galaxy and Cigar Galaxy are in this picture. But I don't think my angle's high enough.
Let's see. I can definitely tell there's. I think that it looks like there's Ursa Major there, so this must be taken in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, it's in the northern hemisphere. It's in Georgia. If you look to the left of Ursa Major, you'll see Ursa Minor.
Yeah.
Aren't they cute?
It is cute.
It's every flat earther's favorite star.
That's first, second, third, fourth. So it looks like it's limited to around magnitude 5.5. What star? You can see the star.
My phone? Yeah. It's pretty limited.
Somebody's asking about dark gravity, which I've never actually heard of. I've heard of dark energy and dark matter.
I think they might mean dark matter because we can detect it via its gravity.
Right.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, it's probably the. Yeah, I've never heard that term used in that way, but
gravity is very confusing me.
I guess that's a reasonable. I mean, the existence of dark matter is based upon the gravitational field that it's generating. So,
yeah.
But people who are more interested in are in the thing that has mass, which has a gravitational field, as opposed to the field itself. So I guess why they call it dark matter.
Do me a solid. Somebody tell me, what's the difference between dark matter and dark energy?
Dark matter is material that we can detect because it has mass, but it does not have. We haven't detected that it has any interaction with light. Dark energy is a process by which the universe is accelerating.
Oh, okay.
Right? They happen to be called dark because we can't see either of them, but they're not related.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense.
Right, and you could just as easily call them Popeye and olive oil.
Right.
I mean, it's
or just unseen matter and unseen energy or something.
And one's 159% of the universe, and one's about 26% of the universe. So
right, and it's the reason we came up with like the dark energy. This is my understanding, is because not only is the universe expanding, but it seems to be expanding faster and faster and faster still.
Oh, so it's accelerating too.
Many people.
Right. So the problem with that is because if the Big Bang was, this is why we call it an expansion. It's not really it's not an explosion, because if any explosion we ever saw on the planet, like if you take some C4, the instant you detonate the C4 is the fastest that explosion will ever go. Once from that moment on, it starts decelerating.
Mm-hmm.
It literally gets slower and slower as it expands.
Right.
But that's not what's happening. That's what's really throwing people for a loop. That's what's causing the redshift. That's why the cosmic background radiation is actually in the microwave range, because it's stretching because of this acceleration. Right. It didn't start out being microwave radiation at all. So,
what are some theories as to what's causing the universe to accelerate as it expands?
Dark energy.
So they don't know.
Behavior of the behavior of dark energy is as if space itself is repulsive. That's not to say that's the explanation, but that's the behavior that it seems to have, and it's also the case. So you think about the grid lines. If you think about the space as a bunch of grid lines, it's like the graph paper is expanding, right? The lines are moving apart, and then the graph paper is sort of being magnified. The energy that's causing that is, there's the energy that's causing that to occur is what they call dark energy, and it appears to be the majority of what the universe is. I mean, about 69% of the universe is this energy which is causing space, the grid of space itself, to expand.
Right.
And it appears that around 5 billion years ago, dark energy started winning out over gravity. There was a natural tendency for gravity to essentially pull everything back together, right? That the universe would collapse on itself and go back to a big crunch. Mm-hmm. But that's not happening. In fact, around 5 billion years ago, it appears that the universe turned a corner where it was slowing down and it coasted. Now it's speeding up, or at least the last 5 billion years it is.
Okay, so do you think then that the universe is going to end with a big freeze instead of a big crunch?
Well, the one thing that you have to be careful about is to presume that what the current dark energy is doing is consistent over time. I mean,
okay.
Some theoretical models argue that the process of inflation, which was a hyper growth that is theorized to have occurred shortly after the Big Bang, that is also dark energy. So it's not clear whether dark energy is consistent over time.
Okay.
That's going. So one of the things that's trying to do with measurements is to see whether or not they can see varying strength of dark energy over time by looking at observations. Another is dark energy uniform, or is it or is there more dark energy in some spots than others? These are kind of the more refined measurements that are being conducted right now to try to understand the nature of dark energy over time and over space.
Okay. So how is dark energy measured, and how is it then notated? Is it measured in a particular type of unit, or what?
Well, there's a couple of ways. I think what you're asking is what is it that dark energy is there's a thing called of lambda, which is but it is in Einstein's equations, the thing that he put into it was what he called a fudge factor, because he saw from his equations that gravity should be causing the universe to collapse on it. Right, everything's tracking towards each other, and it should be rushing in. But the observation of the universe at the time that Einstein was developing his theory of relativity didn't show the universe falling in on itself. So he added this fudge factor to his equations to say, well, there must be some repulsive force, because as far as Einstein thought, the universe doesn't seem to be collapsing on itself, so there must be something preventing it from collapsing, right? And so he added this fudge factor. Well, when Hubble and others showed that the universe was expanding, not accelerating, but just merely expanding, that the universe wasn't static, then Einstein said, well, then you don't need this fudge factor, and took it out of his equations. But now the fudge factor is back in because we've measured the acceleration of the universe in actually 4 different ways.
So Einstein was wrong, but he was right?
Yeah.
Well, they thought he was wrong, but he was mistaken.
Einstein called adding the fudge factor into general relativity equations his greatest blunder. but it appears his greatest blunder was taking it out, not adding it in.
Right.
That is really wild. I gotta say.
He thought he was wrong, but he was mistaken.
Yes. Now the thing that was first noted was there's these stellar explosions. They're a typical type of supernova called a Type 1A supernova.
Mm-hmm.
And the Type 1A supernova has it has sort of its same kind of intrinsic energy. They're kind of like all of these little flashes that go on. And because the way that this is a case where you have a dense star, not a black hole, but a white dwarf, and it's next to it's in a binary or multiple star system. So this dense white dwarf, the gravitational field pulls gas off of the neighboring companion star, and it starts piling up on the surface of the white dwarf.
Wow.
Hydrogen starts piling up thicker and thicker and thicker, and it gets more pressure. At some point, the hydrogen on the surface of the white dwarf is thick enough that the base of the hydrogen layer begins to fuse, and you get to this runaway sort of nuclear explosion because as it starts fusing, it sends out a shock wave which crushes the next thing causing it to fuse, and sort of get this runaway massive explosion. And we know how, what pressure you have to crush hydrogen to get it to fuse. So we know how much hydrogen is there. When we see one of these events go off, we know, it's the equivalent of the proverbial 100-watt bulb. But when we look at the brightness of the thing, we can say, oh, well, this so-called 100-watt bulb looks like it's only 1 watt. That's because it's 10 times farther away than these other light bulbs. So
Right.
we use these sort of standard candles, these standard flash events, where we know in absolute brightness how bright it should be, and relative brightness how bright it appears to be, and that's where we can get a distance. And so you add to that the fact that we got a little bit more sophisticated, because it turns out these Type 1A supernovas are not quite the same brightness. They're let's say they're not strictly a 100-watt bulb. There might be 97 watts or 102 watts. I mean, I'm using a 100-watt bulb as a metaphor, but there's a little bit of variation, and turns out we could figure out how to calibrate and how to tell if a Type 1A supernova was a little bit brighter or a little bit dimmer based upon its brightness curve. That allowed us to really get a really precise measurement about the distance, and we found that really distant supernovae weren't as bright as we expected. We found that really distant supernovae appeared to be, it appeared they weren't at the distance we expected them to be, and it turned out that's because the universe was accelerating. The problem that we faced prior to detecting dark energy was that the Hubble expansion, right, from the Big Bang was considered, was thought at that time to be linear. And so you could look at how fast everything's moving apart and just run it backwards to the point where the universe began. That was, if it's this big, you just run it backwards in time, and you can tell when the universe began.
Right.
Problem was, if you did those calculations, did that straight line, you got a universe that was only about, the common ones were somewhere around 11 to 12 billion years old. And that was a problem because we had stars and we had, globular clusters that were older than the universe. That kind of,
Yeah.
Causality problem. Well, now we know that it wasn't a straight line curve running backwards. That the curve is skewed and sloped, and that the bend of that curve comes from what's known as dark energy. And in fact, it turns out from Einstein's equations that about 69% of the universe, 69% of the energy of the universe, is this dark energy, right? So not only was that fudge factor should have been back in its equations, but the majority of the universe is that fudge. Which kind of is a little embarrassing that we didn't know until the last, quarter century. But hey,
nothing to be embarrassed about. This is huge fucking stuff. I mean,
the big thing about, and this is about science, is that once we realize we don't understand something, we get really excited, and the learning and gaining knowledge starts from the fact that we don't understand, and that's when we get really excited when we realize we don't understand, and so we make great progress. So the questions in cosmology about the origin of dark matter and the origin of dark energy are really big puzzles that people are working on. And who knows how long it's going to take to really get good answers, but it might actually, we might make great progress.
Well, I mean, just tonight I found out about dark energy. I just found out it was a thing. I figured the expansion of the universe was pretty darn uniform. So I learned something. Thank you.
You're welcome. So the dark matter is this different problem. And the problem with that people, particularly, one of the ones, early ones was this guy named Zwicky, was noting that the spin of galaxies was not right. When you'd measure, and that the galaxies are spinning so fast that they should be flying apart. And he was also noticing that galaxies orbiting each other in a cluster are moving too fast, right? That these clusters should be flinging themselves apart because of the speed that things are moving.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why they're not doing that is because there is, a much stronger gravitational field than we expect. In fact, so the assumption is dark matter is this stuff that has mass,
mm-hmm.
and therefore we see its gravitational field, and that's the thing that's holding the galaxy together, keeping them flying apart. Is there's this gravitational field from the dark matter. The problem is that dark matter appears not to interact with light at all. That's why that's the original dark thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we don't see light being absorbed by dark matter. We don't see it glowing. We don't see it reflecting, right? It doesn't appear to reflect
mm-hmm.
or transmit light of any frequency. I'm not going to say it never does, but we've never detected it, and telescopes are pretty good at detecting these subtle things.
Mm-hmm.
So it appears to be almost zero, if not zero, interaction. So dark matter is this stealth stuff that's completely stealth, completely cloaked to any kind of electromagnetic radiation, from radio waves all the way up through gamma. And not a shred of there. It doesn't appear to glow. It doesn't appear to have a temperature. The only thing it appears to have is matter, right? It's mass.
Mm.
And moreover, it appears there's about 6 times more dark matter than there is normal matter.
Yeah,
right.
We're a minority.
Doesn't that make dark matter normal matter?
Of course, then says, okay, so if there's all this dark matter around, what is it, and where is it, and why can't we, collect some in the laboratory? Why can't we find it, right? That's the really puzzling thing. Are we for somehow dark matter desert where most of the universe has all this stuff going through and we happen to be in a dry spot? That would be weird. Or is dark matter stuff that just doesn't interact with normal matter very well? And the reason why we can't detect it, it's worse than neutrinos. It just kind of doesn't interact with normal matter.
Now, have there been any instances of people detecting dark matter on Earth? Like, hey, there's this matter here that doesn't interact with the light, but
there are people are looking for it. There are experiments trying to detect dark matter particles, trying to detect it. So far, none of the experiments have come up with anything. This isn't to say, but there are some good attempts to look for it. So it's possible that dark matter just weakly interacts with normal matter, and that's the reason why we can't detect it. It just doesn't interact with it. But there isn't enough of stuff around to feel the gravitational effect around Earth. But that's not very satisfying. So we keep looking.
Now, do you have... there are several people talking, so I'll let somebody else talk.
I kind of wish I would have come in sooner. This is interesting to listen to.
This is why I told you to come in, Shaggy.
I was thinking maybe I'm in trouble.
No, why the heck would you be in trouble?
Because I'm always saying stupid shit.
Well, you're the admin, though. Like, how can I get you in trouble?
I'm gonna spank you.
So as I say, I think this is to talk about on the anniversary, the night of Hawking's death, because this is sort of stuff he liked to talk about.
Well, if the matter that we're made up of is a minority in the universe, do you have any ideas as to why, or is that just the way things appear to be?
Well, I mean, one of the things that's unsatisfying from a particle physics point of view is the standard model would like to say, yeah, here's all the particles and we know about matter, but we don't. Turns out that we're only about 4% of the universe, and the rest of it is most of it is this dark energy, which is causing space to accelerate, which we don't quite understand. And there's this dark matter, which has a gravitational field, but we can't see it, touch it, smell it, or interact with it very well, which is also not very satisfying. So it's a big puzzle. But again, that's what science loves, questions. It's about questions, and we're really excited we don't understand. We're really excited that there's stuff that is not well explained, and so there's a whole bunch of people working on experiments and theory to try to get a handle on what all this stuff is.
Yeah, well, now I want to know a whole lot more about this stuff.
It's like putting a big puzzle together, ain't it?
Yep. I mean, it's exciting. I mean, I think this is the conversations that are great to have, especially tonight. This is the kind of thing Stephen Hawking would really enjoy. It's like, this is what he inspires.
Yeah. I can just imagine, like, some dude in a lab putting together a puzzle and suddenly picks up a 3D piece. He's like, wait, what the fuck is this? Where does this fit?
Or a 4D piece.
This puzzle is fourth dimensional?
Yeah.
Everything.
Or a kind bottle. It's like, wait, where does this fit?
Shit, my fan. Sorry. Hope that wasn't happening for very long.
No, you were fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the things that we have a really good idea that that we can measure that exists, and again, depending on what model you have, like one of the current estimates today is that normal matter, and by normal matter I'm even talking about neutrinos and other sort of things besides No atoms is only about 4.6% of the universe. About 23% is dark matter, and dark energy is around 72%. Kind of depends upon, again, how you...
What is everything else then?
Well, dark energy is 72%, dark matter is 23%, and atoms...
Huh.
Normal matter is the stuff. So that normal matter, atoms, if you talk about just matter, let's leave dark energy out of the equation. Then dark matter is about 60% of the universe. Atoms are 5%. Photons are about 15%, and neutrons. So if you talk about here's that atoms are about 1/8 of the universe atom, and a little bit over 1/8 is light, right? And about 10%, 1/10 of the universe are neutrinos, which are these weird particles. That's weird, but they're weakly active particles that don't have any charge, but appear to have a tiny bit of mass. And then there's dark matter, right? And it was this problem of galaxy clusters and spins of galaxies and so forth being being not what we expect. There were various guesses as to where the missing matter might be, and some of them we thought, well, there could be these neutrinos, these we thought was massless or near massless particles causing it. Another one they thought was, well, maybe they're black holes, right? And we're seeing black holes which are not, which will have the gravitational field, but that's why we don't get them. But neither of those turn out to be true. There's not enough light, not enough neutrinos to count for all mass.
Universe is a complicated place.
Yeah.
Crazy place.
Nah, man, it's completely simple.
I bet you find it once they do come up with the equation that ties it all together.
Oh shit! Now what do we do?
The Grand Unified Field Theory.
But it'll be something like the E equals MC squared, that once you start breaking down E equals MC squared, you find out how really complex that actually is.
Yeah.
We find out Albert Einstein was an alien plant on Earth.
Yeah, so there's a number of experiments going on trying to detect dark matter particles. So far, none of them have any signal that says, yeah, we detected dark matter.
But we can't detect it. It doesn't interact with normal matter. It doesn't interact with light. How are we going to detect it?
Well, what we can't, we can see, we can detect the gravitational field. It has mass.
Yes.
And we can, but the question is, does it interact with normal matter at all? It's possible that it interacts, but weakly, very, very seldom, as opposed to not at all. Same thing with light. It's possible that it does interact with light, but very weakly, and we just haven't seen the effect of it.
Is there such a thing as a dark matter black hole?
Well,
that sounds like it'd be terrifying.
That it's likely that black holes contain dark matter as well as normal matter. It's possible.
Yeah. I asked Neil deGrasse Tyson that on his Twitter. He hasn't replied to me.
Huh. It'd be funny.
What?
It would never ever happen, but I think it'd be funny to see Neil deGrasse Tyson debate Ken Ham.
Oh my god! Neil deGrasse Tyson would not waste his time.
No, he wouldn't.
Exactly, but it would not. That's not saying it wouldn't be funny though.
No, it's not.
It'd be
It would be
hilarious.
hilarious.
I remember when Sam Harris was debating somebody. I think he might have been debating William Lane Craig. William Lane Craig said something like, "Well, then without God, you then have to tell me why is suffering bad? Why is it inherently bad to suffer?"
Did he hit him in the face and asked him if he liked it?
No, but he did something. He said something really clever. Sam Harris said, "You've hit the bedrock of philosophical discussion with the shovel of a stupid question." I think the ponage would be on that level.
Yeah.
I
But
think
I mean-
Neil deGrasse Tyson would just look at him and his mustache would fall off.
Yeah, but I mean, like, like, why is suffering bad? I mean, I don't think it takes a fucking genius or a magical being to answer that question. People don't like getting hurt.
Yeah,
No, I was gonna say it would be funny to see Neil deGrasse Tyson debate G-Man, but I don't want to see Neil deGrasse Tyson want to kill himself.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Well, I mean, the thing about G-Man is, like, okay, I never go into any debate or hangout or anything where G-Man is involved with it if I am if I want any kind of intelligent discussion. The only thing G-Man is good for is lols.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but he doesn't get lulls out of me. So next time G-Man's like in a hangout and I'm already there, I'm either gonna leave or he's gonna leave first.
Well, you will find
I'm not-
that G-Man is not going to be in near as many hangouts as he used to be, because the great debate community channel, Steve McRae's channel, my channel, Boolinator, and Non Sequitur channel. That's 4 I know of that are not going to have anything to do with it. And that includes him, Tommy Hall, and True Empiricism.
Yeah,
Nephilim Free, the jury's still out on, because he was not part of that hangout where they were sitting there defaming scientists' mouth.
I mean, I just have no interest in interacting with the person,
No.
because it is behavior that I have observed. It's not something I want to.
Well, and it's my whole thing is I would prefer to debunk the idea, not so much the person. I don't care, especially with a person like that, because it's just not somebody I'd want to interact with. Seriously, I don't.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But it's the same thing of the so-called flat earthers. I think it's more productive to talk about the evidence that we have, the size of the Earth and how we measure distance. That's a much more productive thing than to deal with people that have regressed, a couple millennium.
Right.
And not really. I don't really care if to convince them.
Right.
I think it's more productive to talk about how do we measure the size of the Earth, or if you're talking about cosmology, how do we measure the age of the solar system, or how do we that's a more productive thing than to debate silliness.
Right. Yeah. Now, I think debates about things like the existence of God can certainly be productive. It's just if you're debating with a person if you're debating with a young Earth creationist, if you're debating with a fundamentalist or something, then no, because people are either going to, if you're a yak, you're going to dig in your heels no matter what happens, probably. If you are if you're not crazy, then you're going to listen and say, "Oh yeah, well those those young Earth creationists are lying, and it's a bunch of bunk, and you're going to listen to it for the lull.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would love to have, like, especially somebody, say, in grade school, listen to a debate about the shape of the Earth and say, okay, well, what do you think coming in and what do you think going out,
Yeah. I don't think that dealing with some of these people, some of which are trolls, some willfully ignorant, I don't think that that's a productive use of effort. On the other hand, asking how do we know about this? How do we measure the size of the moon? How do we know its mass? How do we do these measurements? Actually doing them is a more productive fashion. Same thing, with stuff about the age of the Earth, age of the cosmos. Those are really fascinating things to discuss.
Yeah.
But saying, if you want to come back to me and say no, the universe 6,000 years old, blah blah blah, then well, then good for you. You go and believe it, but I'm not going to waste my time.
Yeah, no, I have my roommate got me a subscription to this magazine called Astronomy Magazine.
Oh yeah.
And there's an article in it talking about called Great Deceiverism.
Deceiverism. A whole new made-up word.
No, he rails against intelligent design in it to help people get understand how science works, basically, and a way of thinking of things.
Deceiverism?
Yeah, he made it up.
We could at least, make up a better word, honestly.
You do understand that all words are made up, Shaggy, right?
Yeah, but at least 90% of them phonetically make sense.
Yeah, you know what else was made up? Satyrs. Anyway, we're going to see what the...
Hey, I'm right here.
Hey, wait, just
you can't talk about me right here.
As a point of order, because it is now 2:30 where I'm at, and I do have to work in the morning, I am setting the stream to auto-end roughly 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So the Discord obviously is not going anywhere. It's 24/7. But the YouTube stream will end. I'm leaving OBS up as a courtesy. And like I said, I'm setting it to auto-end because there's
2.5 hours?
2.5 hours from now, basically. And just because I'm a nice guy, so maintain decorum for 2.5 hours, and then you can talk about whatever you want.
You're not wrong. Yeah. I'm right. You're wrong. Everyone sucks but me.
Yeah.
Well, and you're wrong about that. I'm right.
Keep in mind that the stream chat is being recorded with it, as is the outside YouTube chat. So it's all going on the recording that will end up on the GDC channel later.
Well, it's fine. Images don't show up, so...
No, images do not. Howsoever, text does.
Yeah.
All right. There's another one of those made-up words for you. Howsomever.
There you go.
Good night, all.
It's like notwithstanding.
Good night.
Bye.
Yeah, I think the thing to do is to look at how do we know, how do we measure certain, we come up with the evidence. That's a more I think productive thing, and some of this stuff as guys take a giant laboratory.
You keep cutting out.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, you've been cutting out badly, dude. You just keep vanishing.
I'm sorry.
Sounds like quantum mechanics.
I'm sorry. Is this or is it a volume thing?
I don't think so. It might be your mic sensitivity.
Okay.
Still doing it.
It's still doing it. Oh well.
I mean, that sentence didn't get cut off.
Huh. I was trying to say that the more productive use of time and intellect is to measure stuff about our universe, to ask questions about, what's the evidence for, the size of the Earth, the age of the Earth, and explore that rather than to debate with people whose ideas are, a couple
Absurd.
They don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, and I think that's a more and these measurements are things that you can do. I mean, it's not. Some of the stuff doesn't require sophisticated laboratories and so forth. It's how I got interested in astronomy, by doing these actual measurements.
You're gonna have to be a closer friend to me, mate, so you can help me with this stuff. Anyway, what I was saying was there's just a little snippet from this article. It's by Jeff Hester. He said, the questions and responses go on until a student asks the $64,000 question. Student: this is crazy. How could you ever know about a great deceiver? Me: I remember my parents telling me about it. The great deceiver gave me those memories to show me that he exists. Then I laugh, they relax, and we will get into the oh so important distinction between an explanation and theories. As an explanation, great deceiverism is truly amazing. For every what about question, great deceiverism has an answer. That very fact that great deceiverism's downfall, nothing could ever show that great deceiverism is wrong. It is unfalsifiable. It can't be tested. That leaves great deceiverism in epistemological no man's land. So I guess you see where he's going, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I was just happy to see that in this magazine thing that I got. And he compares it to intelligent design, which is exactly right. And I agree with what you were saying, Landon. I think we should, eventually, as in very soon, give up on the retards and the idiots and the clown car posse and just move on to showing how we know these things are true, rather than debating people that don't even know the bullshit they're peddling is not true.
Yeah. So, and some of the stuff doesn't require sophisticated math. A little bit of geometry and a little bit of knowledge of geometry and measurements you can take with sunsets at next to let's say a lighthouse. You can measure the diameter of the Earth, and get it within 10% or so. It's not that hard to do certain things that can give you, and it doesn't require, again, some giant instrument. Now, if you want to do something like measure the distance in near stars, measuring parallax, then you need, a telescope with some fine grain measurements. But when Venus passed in front of the sun twice in the last, when 2004, when 2000, we had two people in different spots of the Earth, and we measured the passage and did Newton and Halley's method, and got a pretty good distance measurement to the sun, and that worked out fairly well. That required two people and a little bit more sophisticated math, but again, those are doable things that you can carry out. And even if you can't, you don't have a telescope to be able to measure stellar wobble or parallax or see seafood variables in nearby galaxies, you can read about the experiments that are done and how they produce the results. That's, I think, a more productive use of your time.
Now, those flat earthers, though.
Yell at somebody who happens to call themselves by a letter.
No, sorry for interrupting. I thought you were finished. But flat earthers, they are very, very conspiracy minded. So as soon as you mention, well, in books, well, they tune out.
Well, that's the thing, that you shouldn't even listen to them anyway. Like, it's in books. Yeah, so what? You can go out and do it yourself. And when they go out and do it themselves,
The
they
Bible is a
don't
book.
want to be. Yeah.
But
They
nah,
don't
I don't think. I don't think I've met a single. I'm sorry. I don't think I've met a single flat earther who wasn't also a 9/11 denier
Me neither.
or 9/11 truther or whatever the term
Yeah,
is.
they call themselves truthers.
It's like a Holocaust denier. Same shit. Come on.
Yeah.
Because apparently we're brainwashed because we believe in the official story, whatever
Yeah.
the hell an official story is, right?
We're all Mr. Smiths.
Mr. Anderson.
The only reason
Brainwashed,
why
you don't believe what they believe.
got to the South Pole, I must conspiracies. That's what I was told. So.
Hey, y'all want a debate topic that'll never end?
Sure.
Which is colder, the North Pole or the South Pole?
Well, that's
Yes.
I say the
Actually,
South Pole is
interesting
colder
question.
because it's on
yes,
the
it is.
bottom.
Well,
I
South
say the
Pole,
South Pole is colder because you're disgusting and wrong, because you're a satyr.
South Pole's colder because it's high altitude ice, and it is, whereas the North Pole is on a polar sea.
Isn't the North
See?
Pole? Wait, that does the axis work like that at all? Would the axis come into play?
No, it's that that when I was up to the North Pole, we were on the Arctic Ocean, right?
Right?
And you got sea ice around it, and you've got not too far below. Even when you had thick pack ice, it wasn't too far down before you had liquid water. In the case of the South Pole, you're on a couple of kilometers thick of ice that's got much colder temperatures, right? The liquid water can't exist at the South Pole because of its temperatures. So as an example, I remember the coldest that I experienced at the North Pole was something around -10, whereas like this time when I was calling Steve, it was about -52. As an example, both those were summer times. Now, why was that? Why you have those kind of temperature differences? Well, when you're at the North Pole on the sea, you're at an elevation of the ship above water, right? You're right there on the water. When you're at the South Pole, you're at a high altitude, sitting on a couple, kilometers thick of ice. Another thing is that the wind patterns over the North Pole have a lot more mixing than you have at the South Pole.
Yeah.
Mixing? You mean like from like warm air currents and cold air currents?
Yeah.
Okay.
How far down in the hemispheres do you have to go until you say the birds are flying north for the winter?
How far down do you have to go before?
That's a nonsense question. But
The idea.
But I guess the only way that they could fly north winter is for some reason they started off the South Pole, which would be bad because birds don't make it down there. Birds can't. In fact, there are no birds that. Once you get beyond a few kilometers from the edge of Antarctica, there's no birds at all.
Well, I just meant like in terms that when it's summer in the northern hemisphere, it's winter in the lower, right?
Yes.
Hemisphere. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, do birds fly north for the winter when they're in the southern hemisphere?
Huh.
Well, the birds bird patterns tend to say, hey, it's getting cold here, it's warm over there. So, but I'm not an ornithologist, so you have to.
Me neither.
yes, but we've all heard, so nobody start that.
But there's it's interesting that there's no migration patterns that take themselves across over Antarctica, because there really isn't a landmass for them. They're going north, south, up and down. For example, North America, South America, or Africa to Europe and Asia. There isn't a really good reason why a critter might start off in Africa, go over Antarctica, and wind up in South America, for example.
Hey, which reminds me, there's a funny thing that flat earthers like to do. Like, how come flights don't go over to the South Pole? And then when you show them the flights that go over the South Pole, they're like, those aren't real.
All right.
Yeah, in fact,
with chemtrail believers, you do the same thing and be like, here's pictures from World War II with over the sky, right? And chemtrail people will be like, no, those aren't real, those are doctored.
For the 2003 eclipse, there were 2 commercial flights. We flew an Qantas 747, and another group. We were flew out of Australia, went down to the pole and back, and another group left from the tip of South America on an Airbus, and both of us intercepted the moon shadow to watch the eclipse over the ice.
Ooh.
There are flights. There were flights that were fairly common until there was a tragic thing of a commercial airliner that flew into
Hey, Shaggy. Check GDC voice checks.
I got this.
Yay, I help.
Somebody's microwaving something.
Yeah, sorry.
I need
Don't
to
you
check all
sigh,
the
baby.
bot commands. No, I'm gonna just ban them because that'll get rid of it faster. Bye.
Aw, you don't get to see his message.
Yep.
Oh, you made it.
Anyways,
Not
what
you.
were we talking about?
We were talking about dumbass flat earthers.
Wait a moment, Max. Aren't you considered a flat earther by heritage?
No, I'm not.
Sort of like
No,
how
you're just a racist cuck who hates people with goat legs.
Yes.
Oh,
No, that's speciesist, not racist.
Oh, thank you. Somebody
No,
gets it.
no,
Your social justice right.
we come from our own. We come from. You're not telling me that there's a race difference between black and white people. You're the same thing.
Well, no, I mean, on
The difference between you
race
is
doesn't exist. I get that, but species does exist.
okay.
Although there
are
are
we talking about goat people right now?
Yeah, I'm a goat man.
Yeah,
I'm looking at a
there
goat
are
man right now.
goat people.
I straight up am looking at a goat man. I am playing Kingdom Hearts and I'm trying to beat the Cerberus. And I'm looking at Phil. He's a goat man.
Okay, so we had who was it? Was it Landon Joel, like talking about like awesome shit, and then we start in like with this dumb shit.
Wait, no, you gotta see this. I looked up satyrs on Google. And this is the first image that came up for me.
Nice.
Where did you post it?
He's got impeccable balance.
Where did you post it, damn it?
It's in stream chat.
It's beautiful.
My new favorite image. I'm saving this to my computer.
You
Where
should
did
make
you
that your
post it?
profile picture.
It's in stream chat. No, I'm not making this my profile picture.
That would be a hilarious profile picture.
It would be.
Why is the message
Since we're on the the evening of taking
That
off,
is my new profile picture. Thank you.
It's too late. It's already
I'm
gone.
sorry, what were you saying? What
God
were you saying,
damn it.
Noel?
I was thinking since this is the the evening on Hawking's death, I was also going over messages. And one of the things I remember, conversation, and somebody asked Hawking, what is your greatest regret in your life? And he said, when I met Margaret Thatcher, I was unable to run over her toes with my wheelchair.
What? Why? I don't even know who Margaret Thatcher is.
Wait, did the cripple die?
Margaret Thatcher, it's kind
Prime
of
Minister of Great Britain when Reagan was president of the U.S. So yeah, very conservative.
She was sort of the Ronald Reagan of the United Kingdom, and was a long time prime minister in the United Kingdom, and Hawking was also did like her for reasons of funding science, that sort of thing. But that was kind of his little humor thing of like, and so at one point later on, I asked him, I said, that little quip about running over her toes, and he said, yes, he said you can't quite. He said I couldn't quite get my wheelchair to accurately go there, but I was calculating
accurately
what I would need to be able to just make a slight error and clip her toes as she was there to greet her, and I missed. So that's so.
Well,
but I think I've told Max the story before, huh?
Yep. I was there when you presented it.
This is still one of my saddest achievements. Never mind.
Oh, so yes, Luca Pig. To answer your question, yeah, Stephen Hawking died.
So we're remember.
Is Boolinator still on? Looks like he is.
But at that time, he still was able to use a muscle, I guess, in his hand to move kind of a joystick on the wheelchair. But the joystick actually wasn't that accurate. So
That would have pissed me off. I hate things that are inaccurate.
Inaccurate.
Who said inaccurate? I said inaccurate.
All I know is that Landon at some point said accurate.
Yeah, and some people still say nuclear.
Yeah, my mic clipping.
I mean, that's okay. My mom calls oil. So
Oil. Get that oil.
I'm going to go get my car's oil changed.
I
got a question, Landon. After he lost ability in his hands, what did he use to move around at that point?
He had a twitch in his. He had control over the facial muscles, and particularly also he was able to blink for a while, or the lower eyelid. He that a little bit. And at the time, last time I met him, he was here in the Silicon Valley working with some folks at Intel who were trying to figure out a way of using brainwaves, for him to use brainwaves to interact with people, because he felt that at some point he was going to lose his ability to control his facial muscles. And so he was wanting to have kind of brainwaves with no motor, no muscle control to be able to interact with people.
So I remember reading a short story on Reddit about Stephen Hawking. Pretty much it was a writing prompt over his time traveler party fiasco thing.
Okay.
Pretty much what it was if it was true. So what occurred was it due to time and how it works. Long story short, Stephen Hawking from another time line who figured out time travel for some mythical reason went back to that party because he went back in time. And when he went there, finding out it was him, it created a paradox, and it ended the story with the paradox, with everything exploding. That's all I know about Stephen Hawking, is what I read off of Reddit's story.
Sounds like an interesting story, though.
But
So
as
he
a-
went to the future, and it cured his... What does Stephen Hawking have, ALS? Or
Had.
what was his neuron degenerate disease?
You're referring to the. I mean, wasn't it?
Don't make fun of me, but I just realized who we're talking about.
That's kind of bad.
That is kind of bad. This is what happens
Look,
when
a
you're
pig
dumb.
immediately laughs at me.
Well, of course. I'm laughing at you on the inside, but on the outside, I'm thinking, yeah, no
Dead.
shit, I'm Satyr.
Wow.
Yeah, this is human stuff.
Yeah. You didn't know
Hey,
Stephen
man.
Hawking.
None of you know the great satyrs of history.
No.
Name
You know
one.
what? There are none. They
Phil.
were all dumb.
Phil.
Zero.
Oh.
Cyril
What
of
about Phil, man?
Orphax.
Without Phil, Hercules would
No,
never
Phil
made
is fake.
it. No, he's not. I'm looking right at him.
Yeah, but that's an image.
Yeah.
It's
But
like
that's
saying,
evidence.
add me as your fucking friend, looking pig. I want to send you this satyr image you wanted as your picture.
Okay, listen.
The one where he's
Uh,
balancing the cup on
Satyr.
his...
Satyr.
Right.
Now, I am physically looking at Phil, okay? That is more evidence than all gods that exist, okay?
I mean,
Yeah.
there's art of God, man.
Yeah, but this one's moving and shit.
There's moving
yeah.
art of
And
God,
I can talk
man.
to him.
Yeah,
So-
but those are just
so-
cartoons.
Hawking suffered from ALS, and motor, control disease called Lou Gehrig's disease.
Lou Gehrig's, that's it. Okay.
Luke Gage.
Well, in the story, the Hawking that figures out time travel while he was in college goes to the future, and they vaccinated him for the ALS because automatic sensors and shit.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a weird fucking story. I read it on Reddit, so that's that.
Okay, I'm gonna head out. It was a great chat. Landon, thanks for explaining dark matter and dark energy to me. That was awesome.
You're welcome.
And it was fun, everyone. So y'all have a good night.
Yeah, I'm going to call it a night too. It's nearly midnight here, and I gotta
God damn
wake up and have a echocardiogram where they're going to go and send sound waves into my heart and make sure it's ticking correctly.
Hopefully, don't
Well,
end up like Stephen
yeah.
Hawking.
No, I had valve
to your
repair
good health.
a year ago, so everything's going fine now. They just have to go.
Well, I'll make sure to pray for you.
Isn't that?
No.
All right. Have a good one, folks.
See ya.
Yeah, good luck with that, man.
Hell Satan.
God damn. How come every time somebody leaves, Landon leaves with them?
I know, right? It's Landon, man. He just gets bored.
I'm stuck here with
Do you guys hear any noise through my mic that's not just my voice? Because I'm playing video games right now, and I don't have a mixer for my headset yet.
No, you're good.
No,
Okay.
I don't.
Well, good. Because I can hear this game over my headphones.
Interesting.
Joe,
Well, we can hear
Fucking
it.
beast.
So, great. Landon leaves, and now I'm stuck here with a fucking pig and a satyr.
Hey, what would happen
Hey,
if
man, one of us is clearly superior.
Yeah,
Aggie,
me.
what would happen if we
Dinosaur.
crossbred?
What would happen if we crossbred?
A pig and a satyr.
What was the name of that book where the pigs were communists and they took over the farm and then they became people?
Um,
The Three
Animal
Piggies?
Farm.
No. Wait, what was that, Max?
Animal Farm.
Yeah, Animal Farm. Nah. The whole stream chat is gonna start saying it now. Watch. There's like no lag between me saying the shit and Bulinator's stream. That's impressive.
I know, right? That 500 megabyte Upload speed, man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right, that's a
nah.
speed, isn't it?
Hey,
I wanna
we're
fucking
both
die.
technically animals.
Yeah, but
Yes,
I've got
we are.
Yeah, and we're both mass produced by like farms to be gutted and shit. So
Well,
we
you
should take
know,
over human. Yeah, pigs are mass
It
produced.
depends on what country you're in. You know, they don't touch me in like Saudi Arabia.
Well,
They stay
obviously.
away.
Yeah, I have beef to pick with Saudi Arabia, and I think you know why.
Look, if you
What they do with their goats over there is horrible shit.
Yeah, it is. I'll touch me
if
a
you
goat.
go to the stream chat, you'll see why I'm superior to all of you.
We satyrs are mad that we didn't get Bin Laden.
Spooky. I agree with you, man.
I disagree with Spooky. I am a Carnotaurus. Better than pig. Better
No,
than
the
Listen,
pig
I'm
is-
playing Russian roulette in the
pig
morning.
is not
so
superior.
I am supreme. Okay.
no.
the
The
pig
pig
is not
is
superior.
the pig is not superior. The
Goats
Carnotaurus
have
is.
greater movement capability.
Carnotaurus have better great movement
you
capability.
If you put a wild ram and a wild boar, well, first of all, the boar would be more brutal, but the ram's just got more power.
But you also have to calculate for the intelligence of the pig.
Yeah, but the pig isn't that smart. It's a wild boar. They're not very intelligent. It's like saying an ape in a fight with a man, then you got to account for intelligence. No.
Yeah,
The boar is
that-
an
that
inferior.
ape-
No, I'm just saying.
Okay.
Pig. The boar is an inferior version of you. Okay.
Yeah, true.
It's
I'm
a more
talking
primal.
about my avatar picture. You know, the pig hybrid.
And you guys are more inferior than me. Look, I am
Shut
a
up,
Carnotaurus.
Raptor.
No,
Raptor,
man.
you
There's a
dumbass.
reason your species pretty much went extinct.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
a big
Same
meteor.
as yours.
We
dumbass.
satyrs are doing incredibly well, but that's just because the Greeks know all about that.
Don't birds outnumber humans?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, but
I mean,
those
there you
birds, you know,
that's just
don't
because they're
count.
smaller and there's more room for them.
Listen, you know how many fucking birds I've killed, Max, with my blowgun?
Half ape,
I-
half
I-
goat. What are you
I
talking
have-
about, Cat?
I have killed
Caitlin?
over like 100 birds with a blowgun. Okay, you are not superior.
You can't stop us all.
I
Yes,
am
I can.
superior. My digitigrade legs can move me across vast amounts of land, and my horns can smash your skull in. Let's go.
Yeah, well, my
Ooh,
legs allow
I
me
like
to run
that.
faster than you, and my hollow bones allow me to grow to pig sizes, such as,
Yeah,
the 9 feet
but-
tall that I am.
Unfortunately for you, your lungs are not made for the air of today, so you're slowed down by the technology you need to breathe.
Yeah, well, fuck you, because I'm slightly evolved. I can breathe just fine today.
Oh shit! He's superior in every way. we need to get the hell out of here, dude.
I like the pig.
every farm animal for themselves, man. Let's go.
Oink.
Hey, I'm gonna say, if all of humans just vanish tomorrow, I think the pigs are like the only mass bred thing in America that would like be okay tomorrow.
That is true. That
the
is
pigs
true. I
would
have
go
to
off
say.
into the wilderness and just be pigs.
Well,
and then
you
the
know,
cows- the
we're an
cows can't do
invasive
shit.
species. Look at what's
Yeah.
happening in Florida with boars. You know,
The pigs would just breed into the local boar populations, and
Exactly.
slowly their numbers would equalize. And here's the cows that can't walk downhill because their knees are broken.
exactly.
Horses would be fine, I think.
Horses would be okay, yeah,
We don't mass breed them like we do other stock.
but they can mass breed themselves, though. Like you know,
Fucking centaurs.
what is a predator to a horse?
That's what I've been asking every centaur I've met, dude.
What do they say?
They just ride away because they're tired of my people.
I can
That
You
imagine.
don't understand, man. We have beef with the centaurs, okay?
If only you knew what I was looking at right now.
So, the way Max sees satyrs, I see centaurs.
All right, I'm gonna tweet a photo. I want you to look at it.
I'm not
Okay.
looking at your Twitter. I'm afraid of
Satyr.
what I'll see.
Satyr, it's okay, man. It's okay.
Well, you got to friend me on Discord so I can find your Twitter.
At look a pig. What else
I'm
would
not
it
typing
fucking
that
be?
in. I'm not tapping at it.
Well, you can lick my anus.
Nothing.
Will you lick my
I
anus,
have
Sailor?
standards.
Yeah.
It's a
we all
piggy
have-
anus.
Yeah, and judging from what you eat, I don't want any part of what comes out.
I eat only fresh slop, okay?
And here,
Only the fleshy slop goes into my
I've
mouth.
had my own goat cheese before. It's amazing.
I have had goat cheese, and I have to say it's pretty good. I love it on, like, you know, a bit of toasted bread. Or as the human calls it, what the fuck do you call that again? You had one
Toasted
for
bread?
yesterday, Max. What was the shit you ate? With cream cheese on
Cream
it?
cheese?
Oh,
Bagel.
what did you put? A bagel. Yes, that's the word.
You humans
forgot
are
the
weird,
word.
man.
I know,
I'm good.
right?
I'm good with my mead and bread and leaves.
Don't
Hey, have you ever
forget.
eaten small
Do you know how
herbivores?
hard it is to take care of hindquarter hair when you gotta poop, man? It's horrible.
Yeah, do you know how hard it is to try to take care of your feathers after you poop? Yeah, see me after you learn that.
That's why your shit is, you know, liquid and made out of ammonia.
Yeah, and this is why I shit in streams. The stream went straight downhill, sort of like a stream.
I'm not gonna say anything about where I shit because I'm kind of embarrassed
Shit
about
in
it.
your
You
bedroom.
walk in it. I know you pigs. You're kind of stuck in that pen all day. You got nowhere else to walk.
It's not my fault, okay? It's not my fault.
Yeah, it's my fault. Because
We
I'm
are
a
the
dinosaur.
worst people to be together in a chat unmoderated.
Technically, you're the admin here, so.
Yeah, behave, pig. I'll ban you again. That was fun, man. My first
You don't
ban on
wanna
this
be-
server.
I know, right? No, after like 45 minutes, I just got bored. So I just was like, I wonder what would happen. So I picked up the most obscure thing I could do, and I rolled with it. And I kept up for as long as I could. I was laughing my ass off the entire time until I got banned, and I was like, oh, okay.
He was,
Did you get that? Did you get that little poem I made for you?
No, I didn't.
That little piggy poem.
Oh, yeah, the piggy Pokemon. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
This little piggy cried, "I'm your boss," and threw a fit until the admin stopped caring about his feelings and banned him. This was the most amazing poem I've ever written.
I literally, I enjoyed that night. That was pretty fun.
he was having
Yeah,
a
well,
bad day.
let's keep it calm in the future. I don't want.
I know.
don't want that
Well,
happening.
what occurred was I got fired that day, and I was blowing off some steam.
You should have
And so
taken
I was
it
just
out.
seeing how far I could take it.
Yeah, you shouldn't be talking about this shit while Boolinator's here, because
He doesn't hear me. He's
He does
he's
hear
in
you.
bed. He's in bed.
he's not in bed. He's up and moderating the YouTube.
Oh, he's doing YouTube right now? Cool.
Hold on. He hears nothing. He is deaf.
Oh, no,
Um,
he's in the stream chat saying, I can hear you, right? Oh, hi,
Yeah.
Bornator. Thought you left.
Well, he knows what occurred.
Yeah, he does know what occurred.
You know I'm going to be playing Russian roulette tomorrow, and it's going to be like last time I played, the fucking high I got
you're
from
not.
that. Oh, fuck.
You're not.
Max, you were there for that. You
Stream it
know
on
the
Pokemon
high.
Go.
You know the high I got from that.
You gotta stream
What's
it
up
on
with you and
Pokemon Go.
streaming it on Pokemon Go?
Because kids will watch.
Okay.
No,
I'll set the game as the game I'm playing to Pokemon Go. Is that good
No.
for you?
no, you will
Yeah.
not do it. If you talk about it anymore, I'll server mute you
For what?
for
Wait.
talking about stupid shit.
Shaggy, you're an admin. Can I talk about it?
No.
What about Pokemon Go? What am I going to
You
do
can
on
talk about
Pokemon Go?
No, you can't.
That's
talk
what you're
about
not allowed to talk about.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we can't talk about Pokemon Go. What about Russian roulette?
No, you. Oh my god! I swear, you have one more chance.
What?
I'll server mute you. You know what? You're not that stupid.
You know I want to.
Stater.
Listen, I do as the satyr says, okay? He's my boss.
Well,
Yeah, the satyr told you no as well.
as your boss, I'm telling you to do what Max says.
Okay, Max, what do you want me to do? Touch
I
your
want you
anus?
to not talk about that stupid stuff. I'd rather you touch.
What is stupid?
Like,
Explain to me why it's stupid. I'm curious. Why is it stupid?
Okay, well, I'm not going to explain it. You're just going to have to listen to me. You know why it's stupid. I've already explained it. And hell,
But-
Bullinator explained it to you as well. So, if you bring it up one more time, I'm going to, serve you.
Wait, did you send me a message on Discord I haven't read yet? Because I don't have my old Discord.
I don't know.
Okay. Because I'm still confused on what you're talking about. But, So, I got a question for you, Seder.
Uh-oh.
What is the game of your family?
The game of my family.
Yes.
What do you mean?
What do you satyrs play?
Soccer?
Soccer? Oh my god, if only. Could you imagine a game of satyrs playing soccer?
I mean, we got to be careful. You got to wear like this special goat boot.
Hey, don't you said those didn't exist until I showed you them.
I was messing with you. Nah, you got to wear the special goat boot so you don't kick the ball wrong with your cleft hoof and tear it.
Why don't you just play fucking Quidditch or something?
Oh, no, man. Satyrs can't ride brooms.
So, are we allowed to talk about any topic we want that is not banned by Max?
Yes.
Satyrs, we have horrible,
Women?
we have, oh, no, our women are amazing. But we have horrible fears of heights.
Give me a
So,
second, guys.
what do
Just
you
give me one
women?
second here.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I want to make something perfectly clear.
Yeah.
If Max or Shaggy says to stop something, look a pig, don't play stupid.
Uh-huh. I wasn't playing stupid.
No, shut up
Oh.
right now.
I was confused on what you were saying.
Be quiet. You're not stupid. I know better than that.
Okay.
Okay? You're not stupid. You're way smarter than you're letting on. You played that game with me tonight in Hangouts.
What?
No, you played that game. You started that bullshit with me in Hangouts. You got it? You're breaking two platforms terms of service right now when you start that bullshit.
Which one is it?
Which
hold on.
one? Discord and
Yeah.
YouTube at this point in time. So if they tell you to quit doing something, you fucking quit. You understand?
Okay, but technically it doesn't
No,
break.
it does. It does. When a mod tells you to stop, you fucking stop. This is
Alright,
Steve's
calm down.
channel and it's Steve's Discord. You got it?
Actually, it's not.
No,
Steve's
it
Discord.
is Steve's Discord. The fuck it isn't.
Okay, and
And you're in here because I let you in here.
I know.
And you tried to guilt me into letting you in, into talking to Ocean.
No, I
No,
tried to
you
talk
did.
to Ocean.
Do I need to post it? Do
Me
I
saying
need
I'm going
to
to be
show
playing Russian
everybody what
roulette
the
and
fuck you
protest.
said?
That is, I'm being serious, and I also posted it in the YouTube chat.
Well, good for
Yeah,
you.
you're not supposed.
Max knows, Steve knows,
You're not to.
everyone knows. I'm going to be playing Russian roulette tomorrow.
Well, then that's on you, buddy. Don't try to guilt
Actually,
people.
it's on Ocean.
Don't
Hey,
try to guilt
skeptic.
people. As a matter of fact, that's it. When they tell you to quit, you quit.
Okay.
Got it?
But it's still going to happen, the event.
I don't give a shit.
It doesn't matter if it's happening or not.
You try to make friends. You've got friends in me, or you had it. You're on thin ice. I'm calling you on your bullshit. And then
On me
Max,
not doing it?
And Max,
you can ask Max.
No,
I played
let me
Russian
talk.
roulette with him in the call.
Excuse me, shut the fuck up.
Yes,
Dave's explaining.
shut the fuck up. I'll server mute you so I can fucking finish. You get friends, and then you do this bullshit, and you wonder why nobody wants to be your friend. This is why, look at Pig. This is why people get tired of it. Because you do shit like this. You want to play games with your own life, that's fine. You don't get to sit there and talk about it on this thing. I'm trying.
Well, for me, I said don't do it, and you're not going to talk about it, or else I'm going to server mute you.
And he's a mod.
Yeah, I have. I can do
He's-
that.
And Shaggy's an admin, so
Unless,
that's
of course, I step over and I say something that contradicts him, which I didn't.
right.
Yeah,
His word is law.
And I'm going to end the stream
Well,
now.
if I don't say anything,
I'm going to end the stream now because you guys are not talking about anything relating to Stephen Hawking's death at this point. So